Ready, set, go!
Registration is now open for the Middle States Commission on Higher Education 2023 Annual Conference. It's in Philadelphia, December 4th through 6th, 2023, Setting the Standard, Transformation Through Accreditation. You don't want to miss it. Register now at msche.org.
Surprise!
We're taking the EdUp Experience podcast to Insights EDU. Join us for an incredible higher education marketing and enrollment management conference, February 20th to 22nd in Phoenix, Arizona. Register now at insightsedu.com and use promo code EdUp to save $50 off your registration.
Welcome back, everybody. It's your time to Ed Up on the EdUp Experience podcast, where we make education your business. This is your special guest host, Dr. Michelle Cantu-Wilson. I'm filling in today for the amazing, incredible, and world-famous Dr. Joe Salustio. I serve as a trustee for San Jacinto College in Southeast Houston, and you can follow me on LinkedIn to see what else I'm up to. So allow me to introduce my guest co-host, Dr. Lisa Vollendorf. She's the president of Empire State University of the SUNY system. Dr. Vollendorf has been a guest on the show, so make sure you check out her podcast. And she's now helping to facilitate more awesome conversations in the higher ed community. Welcome, Lisa. So happy to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm really excited to be here.
And you're excited for a special reason. Do you want to tell us why?
I'm excited because our guest is somebody with whom I worked for many years, and we were deans together in California. So I can't wait for you to introduce him, and I can't wait for everybody who's listening to hear from the brilliant and fantastic leader who is on the show today.
Awesome. I love that. And to say that you were deans together, that tells us a lot. We know what kind of work that is. So let's get to it. Our special guest today is Dr. Andrew Hsu, president of College of Charleston. He is the 23rd president of this esteemed institution, and he's joining us on the Friday before Labor Day, which tells you all you need to know about him. Welcome to the show, Dr. Hsu.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. We're excited. So let's jump right in. Tell us about yourself. Tell us about your college. And if you can, tell us what you love most about being a college president.
Sure. So as Lisa mentioned, we were deans together, but what she didn't mention was that I was the dean of engineering and she was the dean of liberal arts. And so obviously I'm an engineer. I have a PhD in aerospace engineering and actually worked in private industry for 11 years before joining academia. And of course, in academia, I worked at several universities around the country, and one of them was San Jose State, where Lisa and I were both deans. And I became the president at the College of Charleston in 2019. So it's been a little over 4 years now.
And you took your institution through some of the hardest times that we've ever seen, not just in higher ed, but in the world.
Yes, indeed. As those of us who joined or who became presidents around that time, I don't think we knew what we signed up for. It's probably the most tumultuous time in this world, and certainly for higher education. But I'm very proud of how my campus has responded to the many challenges we faced. So we actually went through strategic planning, developed our 10-year strategic plan through the pandemic, and actually implemented many of our initiatives during the pandemic.
That's amazing. That is,
Andrew. What do you love about being a college president? I haven't had the chance to ask you this question because
I guess you and I have really not talked since we both became presidents. What I love the most really is the daily interaction with students and to see the smiles on their faces and to see how they're enjoying campus life. And obviously, what I enjoy the most is also the impact on these students. Talking about changing lives. That's what we do on a daily basis as university presidents. So that's I must say that this is by far the most enjoyable job that I've ever had.
That is so good to hear. That is very inspiring, especially after the tenure that you've had, pre-pandemic and post-pandemic. Tell us about your college. Tell us a little bit about what the institution is like.
Sure. So, I'm the 23rd president at the college, and if you think about 10 years per president, we've had a lot. In fact, our campus is one of the oldest universities in the country. We're the 13th oldest university in this country, and the oldest in the South, outside of anywhere outside of Virginia. We are 253-year-old now, and we're traditionally a liberal arts institution. But since I came to this campus through the pandemic, we've been enhancing and expanding our academic offerings. For example, we started or created a new School of Health Sciences 2 years ago, and we also started our first new engineering program 3 years ago, and now we have 3 new engineering programs and several health sciences programs in the pipeline, and we're also trying to develop several signature programs among our liberal arts programs. So we certainly are very fortunate, the fact that we're in a very desirable city. We're right downtown Charleston, by the way. Visit if you can, Lisa.
I have visited Charleston before. Beautiful.
Top tourist destinations in the country. But we are really fortunate that during the last 4 years, our enrollment went up. In fact, interest in the College of Charleston went up tremendously. We went from having 12,000 applications a year to now this fall class is selected from among 26,700 applications. So quite a change over the 4 years. In fact, we welcomed our largest freshman class ever in the school's 253-year history this fall. We have, in fact, 3 largest freshman classes in a row, and so our enrollment our enrollment numbers are very healthy now. Despite the national downturn in sort of enrollment, we're actually enjoying a very good recovery. And we're also enjoying a very good upturn in our philanthropy, in our fundraising. And we again set 3 new records the last 3 years. So, of course, I have to mention that our men's basketball has been really successful during the last couple of years.
Outstanding.
I think we now have one of the best coaches in the country, and he took us back to March Madness last season, and we're certainly hoping that we'll do even better this year.
Well, I'm a huge basketball fan, so I am going to have to follow your team from now on and proudly say that I know that college president. What do you attribute that enrollment jump to? That's a significant jump, and it's wonderful to be amongst those institutions that have seen that growth versus that decline, because we know the decline means a decrease in funding, depending on your funding model. So what did you do at your college to be able to achieve this?
Right. So, I think unfortunately, higher education market is sort of like other other businesses where the big are getting bigger and small are getting smaller. So there's certainly the tendency to consolidate. And for us, really, the College of Charleston was quite a desirable place geographically and academically. But I think the reason that we have not seen any growth for about 10 years is because, to me, we were not paying enough attention to telling our story, but also, focusing on student service. So since I came to campus, I talked to my enrollment VP. I said, tell me what we can do differently, and let's think outside of the box. And so he came to me with 5 or 6 different ideas that are quite innovative, some of them, and that include, of course, start marketing or recruitment for high school sophomores instead of just high school seniors, and including about removing some of the hurdles in the application process, and including put enrollment counselors locally in the Northeast and in Texas and so forth. So we did these 5 or 6 different things, and sure enough, the numbers speak for themselves. So, I
Andrew,
can't say yes.
Oh, I was just going to jump in and say it's interesting. Empire State University also is growing. We are an online public. We're the only online public university in the state of New York. So in some ways, you and I couldn't have gone to more different institutions.
Right.
But I will say what we have in common is this privilege of growth, but also the responsibility of being the leader of an institution that is growing. So I'm wondering how you think about managing growth and managing the change associated, not just with the growth, but with the academic portfolio. Maybe you could speak to some of the challenges. There aren't a lot of people who have the privilege to even be entertaining this question, but you are one.
Right. So congratulations, Lisa. I'm glad Empire State is doing so well. As we all know, not many schools can say that. And in terms of managing growth, we're really trying to do that very carefully, simply because we're a downtown school, and our capacity is very much limited. We're landlocked, and our number of beds are limited. In fact, we had to actually go to a local hotel and lease some beds from them this year. So what we are trying to do is, one, we have to become more selective because of the all of a sudden explosive interest at the College of Charleston. But also, we're a public school in South Carolina, so we have an access mission to South Carolinians. So we are proud to say that to every South Carolina applicant, we have a pathway for the student to come to the College of Charleston and be successful here, whether it's through our bridge program locally or through our international bridge programs.
Okay.
So in terms of managing the academic offerings, we really partner with our local industry quite a bit in trying to design that and manage that. Charleston 20 years ago, if you were to come here, this is very much just a tourist destination. There's other than tourism, there's almost nothing. But now we're a high-tech manufacturing center. We have a lot of software companies, number of software companies went from a handful to now close to 400 software companies.
Amazing.
And then we now have Boeing, one of the largest manufacturing plant outside of Tacoma, is here in Charleston. And we have Volvo, we have Mercedes-Benz, we have Bosch, we have Monkivas. All these German companies or international companies are here. So as a, again, public institution, we have a responsibility to provide the workforce that our metropolitan area and our state requires. So that is why, by the way, we're also a medical center here in Charleston. So that's why the health, School of Health and School of Engineering and computer science plus software engineering and so forth. I have recently hired the recently retired German engineer who was the CEO at BMW, and he's my senior vice president for innovation and industry engagement, and he is in touch with our local and international business leaders on a daily basis. And we are trying to get all the input from industry when we design all these new programs.
Fantastic.
That is amazing. That is exciting. I'm sure that there are college presidents everywhere that are salivating right now. That is a huge win for your students and for your community to have someone with that level of expertise helping support our programs. I have two questions. One's a quick one. About how many students do you serve?
We now have just slightly over 11,000, probably 11,200-ish.
Very good. And my second question is, and it's really for both of you, honestly, since I have the honor of having two college presidents in one Zoom room. I'm so lucky. So new presidents, whether you've had a presidency elsewhere or not, I would imagine that you have an idea of what you want to tackle first when you get to an institution. How do you make those decisions? What comes to mind? What kind of homework do you do in preparation? And Dr. Hsu, if you answer first, and Lisa, if you don't mind, I'd love to hear from you as well. What does it take to make it a good start?
So that's Michelle, that's a really good question. I think the first thing one has to do is really be a good student of the institution that you're about to lead. Unless you understand what you're getting into, you wouldn't be able to come up with good solutions. So really, when I first came to Charleston, March of 2019, I spent a full 3 months not in the president's office, but just as a student of the College of Charleston, and pouring through all the data, the facts, and charts, and so forth, to basically just do a SWOT analysis of your own, of where the institution is. And then the second thing you have to do is, once you are schooled on the facts of your new institution, you have to really work with the faculty, staff, students, parents, alumni, board, and also local community, industry partners, and so forth, to come up with a vision. Where do we think this university could go and should go in the next 10, 50, or even 250 years, right?
Mm.
Not just where it has been, but where it should go, and to develop that vision, and then together develop a strategic plan to move the institution towards that mission or vision. And
Awesome.
it has to be done collectively, because otherwise, if you don't have the buy-in of your community, especially your faculty and staff, then higher education institutions has a habit of waiting out a president.
Not that Andrew and I worked in such an environment.
No, not at all.
In fact, we did.
We could do another episode on those stories.
We could. Waiting out your boss.
That's a good one. That's actually a book, Dr. Wollendorf. That's
That
a
probably
book.
is. I could probably write that one with many, many collaborators.
Should you register for the Middle States Commission on Higher Education annual conference this December 4th through 6th in Philadelphia?
100%.
I agree, because the title of the conference is called Setting the Standard, Transformation Through Accreditation. There is no time like the present to explore opportunities in higher education and the future for our students and our business model. Get out and network with your peers this December 4th through 6th at the Middle States Commission on Higher Education annual conference.
Attention.
Are you ready to elevate your institution's marketing and enrollment strategies? Join the EdUp Experience podcast at the Insights EDU conference, February 20th to 22nd in Phoenix, Arizona. Don't miss out on this opportunity to hear from engaging speakers from industry-leading companies like Google, LinkedIn, Adobe, and higher ed leaders. Learn the latest marketing and enrollment strategies to grow your programs. Register now at insightsedu.com and use promo code EdUp to save $50 off your registration.
Attention.
So I love Andrew's answer, and it also speaks, I would say, to characterologic and disciplinary differences. So President Shu comes up through engineering and it dives into the facts and the figures and the data. And then he says, goes out to then put that all in a human context, in a cultural context, to summarize. And I would say that my approach includes all of those things, but probably in reverse order. I am a big fan of listening and meeting with people, and really I have a very relational approach to the world in terms of my own learning. So I like to read and interact and be in dialogue and listen. And my way too, when you talk about, and I love this, it is a true fact that you must find a way forward, and the way forward is indeed through vision building and strategic planning. So I am on board with that. And I would say that to be able to even get to a place where you can have meaningful dialogue really requires iterative relationship building and listening. And I always listen for lack of clarity or places, or I look for places of disparate meaning. So I heard from City Empire that we were a very progressive institution that was driving toward access from its very beginning. And when I asked about what is our market position or brand position, unlike the College of Charleston, which is nationally known as being a very strong liberal arts institution that is now transforming into something bigger and more in service to the larger community, City Empire has been in service to the community, but nobody has known about it. Right. So I listened for what are we? What's our speech? If I get in an elevator with you and I'm the president, what can I say in 30 seconds? Yep. And we have that now. So we solidified brand position and market position, because to me, that was the key that would then unlock the secret to our future vision and our strategic plan and our positionality in the state and beyond. Very good. There are different approaches, I think, and we all have different personalities, but I think the ingredients have to be all the same.
Right. And what I like about it is that, Dr. Shu, your institution kind of serves as the standard, right? That we're trying to achieve that brand recognition. We're trying to achieve that long history of excellence. And then, transitioning into growth in new areas to industry, that is huge for colleges everywhere. Everyone wants to do that. So thinking about that, let's turn the conversation a little bit to the challenges of innovation. So we all know that during the pandemic, digital literacy for our faculty and our students was, front and center, and we had to deal with those issues in real time. I'm not talking about that necessarily. What are you doing on a digital front that you feel is something that is, raising the bar of innovation in the digital realm?
So, this is such a topical subject because, particularly because of ChatGPT and so forth, are really giving us new challenges. Talking about using computer intelligence to help human beings. Of course, I was trained in that 40 years ago and having been doing that in engineering for 40 years. But I think all of a sudden, ChatGPT is now challenging the writers like Dr. Wallendorf.
Not to put too fine a point on it, but it's true. It's very true.
So I think certainly it's more and more important for us in higher education to think about that and to figure out how to handle that. And we have to, again, think outside of the box and be innovative. By the way, the College of Charleston is one of the or the second most innovative universities in the South. Now it's been recognized 2 years in a row as one of the most innovative schools.
Congratulations.
So to me, I think really we need to think about a few things. One is how do we teach students and what do we teach our students in the current technology environment? And the second thing is that how do we utilize the new technology that is available to us to better serve our students? In the first one, I'm no longer in the classrooms most of the time. So, but certainly our faculty are taking an active role in organizing discussions, workshops, and so forth. And so I'll leave that to our faculty, or maybe Lisa have a better idea. But in terms of how to serve our students better, that's what we're focusing on now as the administration. We're trying to implement as many as possible software solutions to what we're doing on campus, including advising. Right now, one of the things that we're trying to implement as we speak, and it's going to be available in a matter of weeks, is this sort of ChatGPT-like app for our own students, and it's being trained on our own data of student services and student support and so forth. And it'll answer most of the questions that a student might have, whether it's academics or whether it's their emotional issues or whether it's issues with their residence halls or with extracurricular activities. Whatever the student might have questions, they can now have someone answer those questions 24/7. So
amazing.
That's just one example of what we're doing to use technology to better serve our students. And I'm sure Lisa have a lot of better examples.
Yes.
Well, all I would say to that, I love the chat. It's amazing how effective chat bots can be, especially to provide to close some equity gaps. So I think that's very admirable that you're rolling that at College of Charleston, because the data all the research tells us that students, especially students who don't feel at home at our colleges and universities because they are not from educated families and they're on scholarship, or they don't feel they belong for whatever reason, they feel more included and more likely than not just to get answers, but the correct answers, because they're asking their questions when they can do it at a technology interface like that. So that's fantastic. And I think that you will see some incredible differences in terms of student engagement, but also your knowledge about what the students need to know and what's on their minds. I love that.
Yeah.
In fact, I want to echo what Lisa just said. The reason that we're implementing some of these software solutions is exactly that we want to improve our student results, graduation rate, retention rate, and especially our first-gen students, our minority students.
Yeah, from an equity standpoint, you can't do any better than to offer information that exists like everything in this world, like the news cycle, like the internet, 24/7. We know working in community colleges that our students are non-traditional students in many cases, and they have many responsibilities. They're taking care of families and they're taking care of family members. I was a faculty member for developmental education. And so my students were working full time and going to school part-time and taking care of their parents and their children. It was a lot to handle. And the idea that you're doing something that would give them an answer at midnight after they've put the kids to bed, after they've gotten home from a shift, or before they go into a shift at the chemical plant or whatever it may be, I think that in terms of access, that shows a culture of caring. And a culture of awareness. And I was speaking yesterday with Michael D. Smith, who is with Carnegie Mellon. He wrote an interesting book that I'm not going to remember right now, but he talked about, the idea that we need to leverage technology and that everyone has the responsibility in the institution to understand how to match the need with the innovation. Right. And I think that this is a great example of that. I commend you on that. And I'm sure that other institutions are going to be reaching out to find out, how did you do that, Dr. Hsu? And who did you work with? And how do we get it? One thing that we mentioned in the interview that I did with Michael D. Smith was, long ago, well, maybe not so long ago, the norm when it came to email spam related to tech sales, my behavior as a leader in higher ed was, delete spam. But with an innovation like yours, I can see that coming through email as, did you know that you can offer student services via ChatGPT? I just don't think we're in a position to ignore what's out there in business. Would you agree? And do you have any other examples of programs that are coming from industry into the colleges to make the colleges better?
I would completely agree with you, Michelle, and I think we ignore new technologies at our own peril. So, certainly we have been looking at many different things. Another example, what we're doing now is because we now have instead of 12,000 applications, 26,000 applications, and this coming fall, we're already seeing a 40% increase.
Oh my gosh!
From the same period of last year, so we're probably going to be around 30,000 applications, and obviously we just can't possibly review all those or input all those manually. Their script, their what do you call it?
Transcript.
Their transcripts, right? Their grades, and so we're now implementing a character recognition software so that we can just have it automatically.
Wonderful.
So
very good, very good. Well, let's see how we're doing on time. I think we're going to transition to our next questions that are at the tail end of our interview. And one of them is, what else do you want to share about College of Charleston that you feel we haven't touched on, or what is something that you're very proud of that you have managed to achieve during your presidency that you want to share with our audience?
So certainly, I think what we're most proud of is the way we have moved in the direction of academic excellence, and so we're no longer just at the most beautiful campus, and no longer just one of the oldest institutions, but it's the first choice academically for a lot of the students. And we're certainly improving the quality of our academic offerings. Our ambition is to become a national university known for its academic excellence, and that is something that I think we're all very proud of on this campus. The other thing is that I want to invite both of you, Michelle and Lisa, to visit with us, and also encourage your listeners to check out the College of Charleston, either online or in person. We're really a university that is very unique. So check us out.
I will say, and I appreciate that invitation, I will make it there as soon as I can during the nicest weather of the year. Back last year or year before, we interviewed an architect who redesigns higher ed spaces and maximizes outdoor spaces for students to make it a more welcoming environment. So when you said, not only are we a beautiful campus, like, I think that's something to celebrate, because I do believe that our students respond better to environments where they feel not just at home, but where it is a beautiful space in which to be and view the world. So I would love to see your campus, and I'm sure Dr. Vollendorf would as well. Dr. Vollendorf, do you want to take the last question? Do you remember what that question is?
So, Dr. Shu, as we wrap up here, the question for you is, what do you see in the future of higher education?
Well, I see good thing happening for higher education, even though our biggest challenge these days is sort of the declining public perception of higher education, as the Gallup poll probably would tell you. But nonetheless, higher education is still the single most effective path to change for people to improve their lives. So I do think that we need to perhaps lead the effort in improving public confidence in public institutions. I think the confidence is down not just on higher education, but on government, on art institutions, and so forth. But I do think higher education has the opportunity to help turn that around.
I couldn't agree more. We drive opportunity in public higher education. And I know that you and I, we share that passion, and we come up through very different paths, but I can't tell you how happy it makes me to see you leading such an incredibly important and gem of an institution in a state that really needs the kind of thoughtful leadership and strategic leadership that you and your team are bringing to the incredible students, faculty, and staff of the College of Charleston.
Well, thank you, Lisa. IU as well. So, very happy to see where you are, and I'm sure Empire State is very grateful for your leadership.
Well, thank you. I hope that it's all mutual, because like you, I cannot imagine a better job. And when we were deans together back in the day in Silicon Valley, I don't think we even could dream our way to such incredible opportunities to be in service to public higher ed.
No, we couldn't. I agree.
And I know our viewers can't see this, but on our Zoom screen, we are sharing our video, and I am sandwiched between these two outstanding leaders. And Dr. Shu, as you said, that the public confidence in higher education has waned. I just want to say that the impact of being a leader in that conversation and pushing back on that narrative makes a real impact for people like me. I was first generation. I grew up in extreme poverty. I had not a single advantage. I was the first of 26 grandkids. There were no resources, but education was the key, and higher education changed my family tree by leaps and bounds. And the efforts of presidents like you to find those stories and to share those stories and to show the comparison between what is and what could be, I think that's just priceless. So I really appreciate your leadership in saying that you have to be the champions in order for people to become more aware, because we certainly are not just going to stand by and let our good names, be run through the mud when we have we have the data and we know that we're making a difference every single day. So I commend you both on your efforts. I love that you know each other and that you're both college presidents. Wherever you came from, somebody did something right, because you've both arrived. So, well, here we are at the end of our recording, and I just want to review that we have been speaking with Dr. Andrew Hsu from the College of Charleston, and we have had our guest co-host for me, Dr. Lisa Vollendorf of SUNY Empire State College. And it has been a wonderful conversation. We appreciate you, listener. We ask that you remember to like and share, download these amazing episodes on the EdUp Experience. And all I can say now is, folks, you have just EdUp'd.
Oh, yeah.
The Middle States Commission on Higher Education 2023 Annual Conference is in Philadelphia, December 4th through 6th. Setting the standard, transformation through accreditation. Remember, only you can create transformation through networking, knowledge sharing, opportunity, leadership, service, learning, and accreditation. And you'll do all those things at the Middle States Commission on Higher Education Annual Conference this December 4th through 6th. Can't wait to be there. EdUp will be there. There's going to be over 1,300 attendees, presidents, provosts. The networking opportunities are off the chain. Register now at msche.org.
Oh, yeah.
Attention higher ed marketing and enrollment management professionals. We are taking the EdUp Experience podcast to Insights EDU. Join us at Insights EDU on February 20th to 22nd, 2024 in Phoenix, Arizona. Gain insight into the latest higher education trends and cutting-edge marketing strategies that'll take your institution's enrollment to a whole new level. This is your opportunity to connect with higher education leaders and marketing experts from across the country. Comprehensive presentations, engaging panel discussions, and more. Insights EDU will equip you to position your institution for growth. Register now at insightsedu.com and use the code EdUp to save $50 off your registration. Can you afford to miss this conference?
I don't think so.